Okay, so welcome everybody. This is week 3. And the focus of the third week, as we could actually see from the schedule shared in the classroom and also from the training videos you have in your toolkit, the third week focuses on monitoring and evaluation and also sustainability strategy. So each week builds on the work of the previous week. So in week 1, we looked at, we need to understand what the donor's interest is. We need to understand what the needs in the communities are. We need to know the problem we're solving, understand it in detail, because that's going to set the foundation for whatever project that you're going to design, whatever project concept that you're going to be coming up with. And then in week 2, your focus was in the development of the solution, which in this case is the project. And one of the things that I observed from the reviewing your documents, reviewing your applications, I noticed that some of you just took your projects the way you're currently implementing them, and then you wrote about them like that in your proposal. So there's a difference between the projects that you run on a day-to-day basis to keep your nonprofit organization operational or functional. There's a difference between that project and what you may be proposing to a funder through your funding application or through your proposal submissions. There are two different things, because what you're currently running, you're doing that giving the reality that you have limited access to funding. You don't have all the money in the world that you desire to be able to implement what your heart really wants to do. But what I noticed that some of you took the project like that and you're writing about it in your application. So what you're actually meant to do is based on the findings from the analysis you conducted in week 1. From the analysis, from that situation analysis using the problem tree and the objective tree, you were supposed to come up with something that is unique, that you can implement based on your capacity, and also speaks to the challenges of your population. A few of you just took your project the way it is and you put it in the proposal. I just, since I remembered it today, and also from the reviews within the week, I just wanted to mention it before I lose my line of thought. So you are currently implementing your activities because of the resources, the money, the manpower that's available to you. But when you are applying for funding, you are making a proposal so that you can get a substantial level of money. Here, I want us to look at the frame of between $10,000 to $100,000 US. And that money can cover manpower, can cover training, can cover the resources that you need to implement a project that would actually change the circumstances of the population you serve. So whatever you're coming up with for your project concept should flow from the analysis that you have done. So that is why if you look at some of the comments that we have put in your application, your document, especially around your analysis and then how the project will work, the activities and the objective section, some of the comments actually expresses my thinking around that there's a disconnect. Or I've asked some of you, do you think these activities are really sufficient to address the problem? So that's the kind of comments that I have left in some of your documents. So have an open mind when you're fleshing out the project objectives and activities, and also how the project will work. The project should work based on what you have found from understanding the needs of the community, not just your assumptions, not just what you think will work or what you have been doing before. But it should flow from those factors that you have identified from the situation analysis. It's just like in the hospital, whatever treatment that the doctor is going to place you on whatever treatment they recommend, from the drugs, or whether you should be admitted in the hospital, or whether you should be placed on drip, or whether you should come every day for close observation. It depends on what they have found out from the analysis, from the results from the lab. So they've taken your blood sample, they've taken your urine sample, they've taken fecal sample, and all of that. Sometimes they do some swabs, bring out saliva and all of that, to be able to understand what's going on in your body's anatomy, so that they can give you the right treatment. It is the same thing in developing your project. Whatever you're coming up with is not based on assumption of, oh, this is what I think the community needs, but it flows from what you have found, from your conversations with your target population, from the DEX reviews that you have done. Remember that we are focusing on research outputs from development institutions. Now, before, I used to get away with citing one or two publications here and there, like academic research. But as we heard last week from Abraham serves on a lot of review panels for applications within the organization where he works. He currently works with the Norwegian Refugee Council. It's no longer accepted. You have to focus on development institutions, the one like the UNDPs and all of that, large international organizations like the Christian Aid, the Action Aid, or something that you have done yourself. So when you interact with your target population, you will understand issues from their perspective. You know what is happening on ground. You know the challenges that are unique to that specific group you want to work with. Because some of the barriers that are maybe in existence in a community where Sherwin works might be different from the community where Chinyere is working. So you want to know, in this particular place, here and now, what's happening. And then you're also looking at those research publications from development partners. You're looking at your local council. What data do they have? All of these things is not, and it's not just about building a strong argument under your background analysis or your problem statement or a problem analysis section of your proposal. It's not just about that section of your proposal. That is the foundation upon which your project design would sit on. And for some of you from the review, we saw that there was a disconnect. Either what you have developed is not sufficient enough to address the problem, or you were going in a different direction entirely. So, and people have started confessing now. So I actually noticed that again from the reviews this week. And I had to say, okay, what's going to happen is that in the live session, we're going to have a conversation around this. And my observation from week 1 also informed our remodeling. And that's why you see, we told you, upload this document, invite us as editors. Because some of these things in the live session such as this, we may not be able to observe or recognize them, because we may be in a rush. I mean, I will bring up Stella and I'll just look through our document and tell her to get out and bring the next person get out. No, since we have all week to view the document, read it, digest it, look at the linkages, then we'll leave our comments, is much more effective than being in a rush in the live session to ensure that all 22 of you, have support. And so we're limiting the live sessions to addressing these gaps that we have found across board, answering your questions and reiterating maybe when you go through the training videos and you find out that there are some sections that are confusing, then this is an opportunity for you to get additional explanations. So your project design flows from your analysis. Your monitoring and evaluation flows from your project design. And your budget will flow from all 3 of them. And that's why the module, it's structured like that, building blocks. You do your analysis first, you come up with your project, you come up with your monitoring framework, you come up with the sustainability framework, and then you come up with a budget. Then you close everything with the executive summary and then writing your capacity statement. Because your capacity statement will have to touch on these different things that you have put in the other sections of the proposal. So follow the way that we have structured it on a week-to-week basis. Your project concept or the project idea is not independent of the analysis. It's not something different, because I saw some of a few, not everybody, but if just a few, what you're telling us that you want to do is different. It doesn't speak to the problem analysis that you have written down in the upper section of the document. And if it were to be like you have actually turned in that document, they actually turned in that document for submission, it will not fly. It will just be a no-no, because they're saying you are going, the problem you said you want to solve is malaria. The solution you are bringing is cancer treatment. It can't work. That is what some of you actually did in your proposal. All right. So it must work hand in hand. We're not saying that your project concept design will address everything that you found out from your analysis. If you had listened to the training video closely, you will see that there was a part where I touched on finding your own pathway. Because when you do your analysis, especially, I would recommend that when you're doing your analysis within your organization, use a flip chart paper, especially when you have a team. If you are not a one-man nonprofit, if you have volunteers or other employees that are working with you within the office, use a flip chart paper and then use markers. Or in the most simplified form, you can just use normal A4 paper or foolscap sheets with pencils or sticky notes. So as you're brainstorming, you can arrange them into the different components. So use that problem tree. If you're working at home, take your pencil, take a rough note, and then map it. Okay, what's at the top, what's at the bottom? Put all those ideas together. Follow it the way you saw that I did it in that training video. I am very particular about that problem tree and objective tree because I've used it over and over again. Even beyond, projects for grants, I use it to come up with trainings. I use it to come up with services. I've used it to develop a project for a consultant that works with Lagos state government. He just called and like, see, I need to submit this thing in 24 hours. I've tried with my team. We cannot come up with this project. And immediately I just pieced out the ideas with the tree. I could flesh the project components and I gave it to them within 24 hours, in less than 24 hours. So it's a tool that you should use. Always engage that tool. The problem tree is really very useful when you're trying to understand the situation, what's happening. So please, because we're in the middle of the program, we have 2 weeks left. Some of you are behind schedule because I didn't see anything under the activities section. For some of you, I didn't see anything under how the project will work. The only thing on your document is just your problem analysis and the cover page by the 3rd week. I know that we all are busy with field work, sometimes business and all of that. And you may not put this program as your #1 priority on a week-to-week basis. But let me tell you something. By the time you see a funding opportunity that you really want to apply for, you will still be very busy. You will not still have time. So you now have to deliberately apportion time to say, okay, the deadline is next week, Friday. And say, okay, between now and Monday morning, I should have finished my problem analysis. I should have written that part, and I should have come up with the logical framework for the project. By Wednesday, I should have this figured out. So we're not saying that you should write the entire thing in one day. So you have to pace yourself, give yourself, okay, if it's 1 hour a day, let me use today and tomorrow and watch the training. And then the third day you do it. Like someone is saying in the chat, I underestimated the work involved and the mental energy required. Yes. That's why you paid. If proposal writing was a child's play, you would not have paid for this program. It's actually a big problem for a lot of nonprofit leaders. Because you see, is it not all right? Oh yeah, now, see the questions that the funders have. Oh yeah, right. Like what one of you said, I can't remember who said that last week, said everything was just the same. The objective, the outcome, output, everything is like repetition, is like saying the same thing. The funder will ask you for the goal, will ask you for the objective, ask you for the outcome, ask you for the output, and then ask you for your result indicators, and you'll be thrown off balance. So you have to use this, let's call this program a platform or a container. You have to use it to build the resilience, build the mindset, and also build the habits that will help you out there when you start writing your applications and you start submitting them. You build those muscles from here. I mean, you have a whole 5 weeks. A lot of, you will not find, it's rare. Some, they can give you a long window, but you may not see it early enough that you now have 5 weeks to write the proposal. You may just have 2 weeks to write the proposal. 3 days, 24 hours, 3 weeks. So 5 weeks is a lot of time. And why I'm saying it's a lot of time is because in reality, you may not have this 5 weeks window for one proposal. And mind you, that's not the only proposal that you are seeking to submit for your organization within that quarter. Maybe you've seen like 4. You have to submit 4 proposals within 1 month. Then you can't be sleeping on it. So I just want to get all of you charged. I know some of you, the enthusiasm is waning because you're seeing that it's a lot of work, but it's something you cannot run away from. So you have to face it head on and put in the work. It takes work. Like I said during the onboarding workshop, proposal writing is not a thing. It takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of mental energy to be able to identify the issues, to be able to frame the objective statement, to be able to explain what the outcome will be, even to discuss write the problem statement itself. It takes a lot of mental energy. It's as if you're writing a book. It's as if you're writing a publication, an academic article. It's that level of mental, it will drain you, yes. But at the end of that, you continue to do it, it will get better. You will get better at it, and it will not be as scary as it is right now. So when you see our comments, like when I looked at, I think it was last night or so, when I was reviewing Stella's document, as I opened the document and I saw all of our comments, I just wrote to her, resolve all of this. Because imagine me as someone who is reviewing it, I come into the paper and I see those comments, and it's a lot to take in, not to talk of you who is actually seeing the reviews. You see a review popping from me, popping from Abraham, popping from Renee in the same section, and it's overwhelming. So when you see those comments, resolve those things so your document will not be crowded and disorganized. Resolve it and let it be clean, and you continue to work on it. And one other thing that I have observed is that, one moment, is that some of you upload the document over and over again. So I see like 5 submissions from one person, and it's confusing. So don't upload it again. Once you have uploaded the document once and you have invited us to edit it, we already have it. So from my end, I usually star that particular email so that it doesn't get lost amongst the things that pop into my email inbox. So anytime I want to review, I just go to my starred, my favorite emails, and I see it there. I just continue from the last one. So you don't need to upload another document again. You do something, no. You can just leave a comment and tag me or anybody that you need their comments on the document. You just tag them and they will get an email that you have made a comment in the document. Okay, so I want to encourage everybody. It takes a lot of work. Some of you are behind, you've only done the problem analysis, and even the comment we made, you have not even effected that adjustment in the written piece. This is the reality you face by the time you start submitting your applications and asking for money. So build the resilience now, build the muscles now, try to figure out how you can manage your time and begin to apportion components of your document on a day-to-day basis. What should I do on Monday? What should I do on Tuesday? Give yourself to say, okay, by Monday, I should have finished watching the training video, and then I'll start scribbling my ideas down. Just little by little, start pacing it like that, so you're not behind schedule. All right. And for some of you that have attempted, you have actually did the work with regards to completing the sections on your design, completing the sections on monitoring and evaluation. All of you that did that, well done. Okay. I actually saw some of you, your objectives were really, really good. Very strong objective statements that you have framed. For some of you, I've left comments to say you need to reframe the objective, or I even gave you suggestions on how your objective should be. So any comment we leave on your document, read it and go back to the document and work on it. For some of you, I know as we're approaching the end of the program, we're going to share some ideas with you to let you know that every proposal is different. Every donor is different. So for some of you, there are some sections that are really very long. I know I said, yes, write, add more, very long. So take it that what you're currently working on is a master proposal. And so you have to tweak it if you want to make a submission. You see a call for proposal that, oh, this actually aligns with my organization's mission. I think this idea will work. You will not just dump it verbatim into that funder's template or their portal. You have to tweak it. So if you see a funder that is telling you to write 500 words, talking about maybe the background analysis of your project, write 500 words, and then you can use what you have done. You would see another call for proposal that is saying 100 words. So that means you have to compress what you have. So this back and forth we are doing is to ensure that you're able to adapt. You have the flexibility. So when you see any call for proposal, it doesn't throw you off balance. You should have the capacity to face it, put your ideas together, work on it over and over again as you find those opportunities online. All right. And so I've shared some of the thoughts that I had in mind that I wanted to bring to your notice. So you bear that in mind as you continue to work. Some of you are way behind schedule. You need to, double up the time and ensure that you're completing the sections. You don't just leave everything till last minute. You have only 2 weeks left. Grant writing mastery for your cohort, July cohort, is going to end on the 29th of August. Let me just take a look at my calendar. Yeah. It's going to end on the 29th of August. So you have just 2 weeks left. Next week, Saturday, we'll meet to discuss what you have done with regards to your budget. And then on the 29th, we're just going to finalize, show you some portals that you can begin to do your search from to look for grant opportunities, look through a funded proposal, and we'll close. So you have basically this new week we're entering, and then you have the leeway of the last week to finish up everything. You're going to do a budget on Excel. And so if you keep these things, you don't do them on a week-to-week basis the way we have specified, you're going to lose steam, and you have a lot of work to do in the final week. So ensure that you're taking them on a week-by-week basis as we go on. So unfortunately, I'm the only one here tonight because Coach Rene, it's because of a difference in time zone, It's about 3 to 3 p.m. in the US, and Coach Rene is speaking at a grant writing conference in New York. So he had to travel to New York, and he's facilitating that conference, teaching for a couple of days. So he's not able to join us in the live session, but he's looking at the documents. I actually saw his comments on some of the documents from yesterday and today. And also Abraham, I don't know if you'll be able to join us before we close, but you've got just me today. All right, so I want to hear from everyone. How has it been? What are you struggling with? What are the things you do not understand that you need maybe additional explanation, or maybe some comments that we made in your document and you want us to talk a bit about it? I'll take Joshua first so he can go and rest because he feels he's a bit under the weather. So Joshua, let's hear from you so that when we're done with your conversation, you can go and rest, relax, take your medication and relax.
Okay, thank you, Coach. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
It's another good week loaded with a lot of activities and work putting into this. And I can say every week is coming in a new dimension, and the knowledge exposed to are definitely invaluable. They are knowledge that can't be gotten anywhere except from an expert like you people. From my document this week, with what I've seen from you, I believe I'm on the right path. Okay. I was even glad when I saw Rene's comment on my M&E plan, and he said my monitoring and evaluation plan is impressive.
Yes,
I should keep it.
Actually, don't mind me, I didn't make a comment, but I smiled when I looked at it.
Yes. I had to run to my wife that one of my coach said my M&E is impressive. That yes, I'm getting it. So, but on the major, the document itself, you've made some comments on, most especially you said I should mention the channel under sustainability.
Yes.
I said that my foundation is forming alliance with the State Scholarship Board to explore channel. So I've done it. And under that channel, I said the channel we are looking at to explore with them is for the State Scholarship Board to intervene and put those students on scholarship by providing for their tuition. While we, through donations from our board of directors, we continue with the provisions of their educational materials. So I think if with what I saw on my paper, if it should go by with, that means I don't have any carryover from all the activities we have been doing, both everything.
You told you have carryover.
Yes. So I want to believe everything, because all the corrections I've done, you didn't put anything on them again. That means it's a pass for me.
It's fair. It's fair. You know what fair is? It's fair. But there's something I really want you to pay attention to, Joshua.
Okay.
You guys in your organization, you need to begin to think outside of the box of the current activities you're running.
Okay.
Now, in strategy, maybe at the end of the program, I'm going to, at the end of the 5 weeks, for some of you, I'm going to be inviting you to, to the strategic planning retreat if it fits into your agenda and where you want to go for your organization. In strategy, you have a clear milestone or clear goal post that this is what we want to achieve. Sometimes the route that you take to achieve that particular vision for a specific time, it can be sometimes if you read some documents or you read some funders publication, they'll tell you that this is our strategic priority for this period. They have 1, 2, or 3 things that they are set to achieve. maybe for an organization like Tony Lumelu Foundation, they can say that by 2030, we want to raise 5 million entrepreneurs. We want to be able to support 5 million entrepreneurs to build viable and profitable businesses on the African continent. That is their North Star. Everything that they do, they can use different roads, different pathways to be able to achieve that. Currently, what you're doing is to provide access to funding and also mentorship. And they can decide to come up with another pathway in the next 10 years to say they are no longer going to be giving grants, but they are going to be giving loans so that entrepreneurs can begin to build financial responsibility habits or skill sets. Because now people are seeing it's free money. Some people are diverting it, but when it changes to loans, you might begin to have a different set of people, come into that program. But the plan, that vision remains the same, that by 2030, we want to get 5 million entrepreneurs who are building viable and innovative businesses on the African continent. So for you, yes, you want to promote access to education, or you want to mitigate school dropout rates. The only solution is not scholarship. Scholarship is not the only solution to that problem. It's just that it's something that with your team's capacity, with your team's ideas that you've been able to, that you've been inspired with at that certain time, that is what you guys are doing. But that is not the only solution to the problem. There are different things you can come up with. And that's why I said at the beginning of this session, don't just busk yourself into the current activities you're running. Let the issues that you have identified from the situation analysis guide you to come up with solutions that are innovative, that will really solve the problem. If I want to critique that scholarship idea that your organization is currently working with, I would critique it from the aspect of sustainability. If you continue to pay school fees for these people, is it sustainable? What it means is that, let me put you on the spotlight here. Chinyere, please, can you mute your mic? What happens if you're unable to continue to pay the fees of these people? They will go back to where they were before, which is out of school. And then the problem continues. And so what funders are saying about sustainability is you need to begin to think, okay, what will happen at the end of this project?
How do you push it on? Who will take care?
Continue?
Exactly.
So if you stop paying school fees, what happens to the children?
Exactly.
If you stop buying school uniforms for them, what happens to them? They are back to square one.
Yeah.
So that is what sustainability is. If you watch the video on sustainability, I mentioned that there are different types of or different mechanisms how sustainability works. Financial sustainability is just one of them. How about the outcome? So you need to now design your project in a way that community will continue to experience the benefits even when your project ends. So one of the ways that I've built in sustainability into this program is to ensure that you have access to the toolkit. So one of the sustainability is the trainings are already pre-recorded. I'm currently doing a program. I paid £500,000 for the training. £500,000 naira, that's about £500. Paid £500 for that training, which is equivalent to like 550,000 naira now for the training. And guess what? You don't record the classes. I've preached, I've advocated, I don't speak English, and they're not listening to me. And in a cohort, there are like 400 people in the Zoom call, and it's not recorded. There was a particular day I was unavoidably absent. I missed, that one has gone, it has gone. There's no sustainability in that design. Chinyere, please mute your mic. I still can't understand why I'm unable to mute it. So one of the ways that I've built in sustainability into grant writing mastery is to ensure that the workshops are recorded, and also that you can access those training at your pace. And also you have lifetime access to those training videos, that even at the end of the 5 weeks, in next 2 years, you can go back to that email, get into the workshops, watch them again. That's part of this. So you are experiencing the benefits even after your 5 weeks has ended. And also, I mentioned that we are going to put you into the academy, which is another group different from the classroom. There we have 1 meeting a month, and then we continue to have engagement. So it's sustainability. You finish your program, but you're still reaping benefits from paying for grant writing mastery. So when we think about our projects, these are questions we need to ask. If you see in your toolkit, there's something I developed. I called it it should be, what did I call it again? Is it funding viability checker? Immediately I got the inspiration, I just developed it and added it to the toolkit. So when you have your project idea, use it as a litmus test and ask yourself questions around those lines: the scalability, sustainability, is it solving a problem? What's the research behind it? And use it to test, so that when you identify the gaps in your project, you'll now say, next step, these are the things I need to do to strengthen the project. So when you are developing a project, don't just box yourself into, put yourself in that container of the ideas, the original ideas you came up with. Okay, you came up with a 6 months coaching program, and then don't box yourself into that container. I know it's very hard releasing, this idea. Let the factors that you have identified in the analysis guide you. What better way? Maybe you have found that for someone like Madaraka that works around access to justice, if you have found out that there's a cultural problem, there's an institutional problem because the rights of children are not being valued, or there's already a stereotype for these children who are at risk. And so when people see them, they already stereotype them as children of extremists. So you have to begin to think, how best can we begin to change these mindsets? Maybe if you've been doing advocacy visits, you begin to think, what other way can we begin to make people shift from stereotyping children? Should we do a media program? Should we do a movie and then stream it for them to really watch the story, begin to view what's happening in the community from another perspective? Should we have a roundtable where these children are sharing their life experiences with stakeholders? Let them hear and see that these children are actually human beings. They actually have blood flowing in their veins. They have challenges, and just listen to them. So that is what I want us to do. Don't just carry your project. Joshua, I know you have done good work, but it's something better needs to happen beyond the tuition aid, beyond the school kits and all of that. What do we need to do to ensure that these children have access? Do you need to work with corporate organizations within that area, begin to build maybe an education trust fund or an alliance of key stakeholders? When you begin to ask yourself, what more can be done? How do we address it? How? Why? You keep digging. You keep digging. I'm muting people as I hear the sound in the background. You keep digging, you'll be able to come up with innovative solutions, improved solutions, something new, something that really works.
Madam, I'm trying to raise my hand.
Oh, sorry about that. Oh, go ahead.
Well, I'm having a network problem, but I've heard you mentioning my name.
Okay. Yes.
Then the network all of a sudden has a problem.
Don't worry.
With me. I'm repeating what you've just said.
I was using your project. You're working on access to justice for children who are at risk of violent extremism and radicalization, right?
True.
So I was saying something around being innovative with the solutions that you come up with in your project. So I was using your work as a case study to say, for instance, if you find out that there's there's a problem of stereotyping amongst your key stakeholders. So especially those that are working in the justice system, and also stake actors within the safeguard system. People who are supposed to safeguard these children, but they have actually stereotyped them as, oh, these children are radical, they are extremists, or they are from families who are extreme influencers. And then so they have already labeled them, they have already stereotyped them, and then they don't even allow these children have a voice within the whatever the process or the proceedings is in court. So you found out that that's a problem. And then you need to begin to ask yourself, how best do we address this problem of negative stereotyping? How do we address this problem of key stakeholders who are supposed to be the protectors of these children or the safeguards of these children, but they're actually the ones now violating their rights, all because they believe that children's rights are not important? So how best do we change those behaviors, change those perceptions? If before what you've been doing, you're just going to their offices to deliver letter or to just have a 30 minutes conversations because they are busy, you now need to begin to think, oh, should we bring all of these stakeholders together in a round table for an extended period of time and really have a sustained engagement, even with these victims, in that conversations to really have a transformational dialogue? It's different from what you've been doing before. I'm just assuming, just going to their offices to tell them. That meeting is very limited. The maximum someone can allow you in their office to discuss that maybe 30 minutes, and there's another person at the door they want to have a meeting with. But if you create a platform, a round table, a multi-stakeholder dialogue platform, these people leave their offices and come to that event and have in-depth conversations, analysis, seeing things from different perspectives, brainstorming, having constructive conflict on the issue. And then you're able to follow up whatever resolutions are made from that dialogue. You're able to follow up, you're able to track. That's a different way of addressing the problem. Radically different from just going to the office to just appeal and talk. You can only do that if you come back and start asking, how best do we address this problem? Not that you're just focusing on one thing, what you have been doing before. So for this program, Grant Writing Mastery, I've done it before, but it's not in this particular version. That's because I'm always asking, okay, how best, what more can we offer nonprofit founders so that I really have a capacity to write proposals that are compelling, submit the right proposals to the right funders so they can get money. And one of the things I've done is to look at people who, my clients, my past coaching clients and students who have successfully written proposals and they've gotten grant, and then I look at what did they do? What things did they do? What works for them? Distill it and bring it back into the program model. I did 2 days workshops. I did it, but I knew within me that wasn't going to work. I had to kill it. So for some of you, your project, the way it is, the way you've been doing it, the activity, it's not going to work. Funders are not going to give you money to do only that thing. You need to come up with more. You need to look at your situation analysis. And then you look at the key factors, the key major, let me call it inhibitors, barriers. These are the core barriers that is really putting this target population in this situation. Those barriers that if we don't remove it, nothing will happen. The situation will not change. And then you focus on those barriers and you begin to ask yourself, how best do we remove these barriers in a way that it is sustainable? It doesn't come back. And that's why I asked you, Joshua, if you're unable to continue to pay school fees for these children, if you're unable to continue to buy uniforms for these children, what is going to happen? What's going to happen is that they are back to where they were before. Maybe even in a worse state. So please, let's begin to think. Don't box yourself into that activity you've been doing and say, this is what you want the donor to fund. Adapt. Keep your eyes on the problem, on the vision, that you want to achieve or the goal for that your project, keep an eye on the problem and then begin to ask how best, what more, what's the best route, what's the best channel, what can we do to solve the problem, what's the best way. All right, so Joshua, I know you've done that work. For the monitoring and evaluation, why we said, okay, it's good, is because you have shown that you have understanding of how monitoring and evaluation should work. You have understanding of the relevant indicators. You have understanding of the relevant indicators, for that particular project. Okay, so begin to think outside. Don't put yourself in the box. Begin to think outside of the box, okay? And this goes for everybody, not just Joshua. Okay, so you did well, but I don't want to see you putting that project just the way it is like that and putting it in an application, just paying school fees and then buying materials. Everybody does that. Almost all the organizations are doing exactly the same thing. So if 100 nonprofits submit the same proposal, what is it about your own that will make the funder pick you from other people that are still saying they want to pay school fees, buy uniforms, and buy learning aids? Think about that. All right. So today is going differently. It's more or less me pointing out the gray areas for you guys as you go back to your work. I used that particular case study because one of the things that you should take out from the live group sessions is that as I'm treating a case, as I'm picking a case, I want you to look at how it's relevant for your current situation or where you are in your project. So you take the lessons and you go and tailor it into your work. So right now you have the opportunity to refine, retweak. Like some of you have changed your problem analysis 2 times. I pray you don't change it again. Develop that one, don't change it midway. Pick a problem. And one of the guidelines that you should follow, because one of the things I aim to do is to bring a business mindset. Bring a business mindset into your work as a non-profit. Do not be blinded by passion. Do not be blinded by mercy. Do not be blinded by the fact that you want to help. So one of the things I do by social media lives is to get people to shift from being a helper to being a social innovator. It's a different mindset. The mindset that you just want to help somebody is different from the mindset of someone who is an inventor, who is trying to bring a solution that the world has never seen before. They're 2 different people. So for some of you, you're wrapped and engulfed by passion, by emotion, by this desire to help. But I want to encourage you to step out of that box. I'm not saying lose the passion. I'm not saying lose the emotion and all of that. But I want you to be very objective, because some of you are still subjective in the way you write. We're not begging the funder to say, I beg, come and help these people. No, you're coming with your strong reasons why your solution is the best, why your solution is what will really work for a particular population. So you don't want to be sounding like every other nonprofit that have submitted a proposal. You want to bring a new perspective. You need to think and demonstrate that you are here, value for money. It's not just coming to say help, but you have a solution that will work, that will change the narrative for that particular population that you're working with. So those activities, that's not the only way to solve the problem. You have to still go back. You've done if you've done the analysis very well, you've pieced out everything, you have gone deep down. It should guide how you're designing your project objectives and your activities. So one of the things that I want you guys to do from today's session, we might not stay here long, is from all this gospel that I'm preaching, go back and look at that document and say, okay, what more value? I'm not saying go and be adding activities. No, this particular activity that I have put here, is it good enough? Is there something better? Is there something better that can really address the problem, and we will see change that is measurable? For some of you, I think the last document that I actually reviewed before this live session, in your M&E, you were not really telling us clear indicators. We're not bringing clear indicators. You're just explaining and defining what monitoring and evaluation is, what monitoring and evaluation can do. So you have the opportunity of these 5 weeks to get all the knocks from us, so that when you appear before a funder, you'll be held, in fact, they'll count you worthy. Being a non-profit is not necessarily, it's not only charity. I think that's where one of the gap is, one of the challenges is that it's the mentality of, oh, we are a charitable organization. Charity is part of the work that non-profit organizations are actually set up to do, but it's not the entirety of what your mission is. For those of you that are in Nigeria, you all know Lagos Business School. You all know what Lagos Business School stands for. Lagos Business School is a non-profit. Are they a charitable organization? No. You're focused on development, creating programs, creating solutions that will drive sustainability on the African continent. It's a top-notch, global level organization, but it's a non-profit. You know how much they used to charge for training programs. So do not think that don't label yourself that, oh, charitable, because it's appearing in your proposal. It's oozing out of the proposal. That it's still a charity mindset, a charitable mindset. And then begin to embrace the mindset of social entrepreneurship. You are an entrepreneur. You are a social innovator. You are bringing solutions to social problems. That's why you're a social innovator. And an innovator brings a better version of what is in existence. It's not replicating what is in existence. And that's why I'm using that terminology for you guys, social innovator. You are not repeating what an organization is doing. You're not coming to your proposal to replicate what another organization says they want to do, but you are bringing a new twist to it in a way that undeniably people can connect that, okay, this thing will really solve the problem for this population. It is solving the problem. So these are the questions you need to begin to ask to critique your own idea as you're populating the sections of your proposal. Don't just write, oh, because they said we should write this section, you just put something there that does not make any meaning. Doesn't make any meaning. So please, guys, I just want to encourage us tonight. Tonight, we'll just address your questions, because whatever I want to say concerning your proposal is already there in the comments that we have made on your document. For some of you that you didn't show up last week and then you're here, please try to catch up, because you don't have time again. You're running out of time. You're running out of time. You only have 2 weeks. My joy is that for most of you, I'm seeing huge improvement in the quality of your written pieces from week 1. And then for some of you, I just had to write, this is beautifully written, well done. Do your next sections. So continue to improve. And that's why I've modeled the program like this, that we're really saying, you're not just saying, go and watch these training videos and then go your way, but watch, do, we see what you're doing. We tell you where to adjust over and over and over again until you finish within the 5 weeks window. Okay. So go back, clean those documents, please. The errors where we have said, link this. For some of you, there's a particular one I said, the sentences are hanging. You really brought about, you identified really good points, but they are hanging, they're not flowing, they're not connected. It's as if When you're reading a novel, you know how it flows. When you're reading an article on a newspaper, you know how the story unfolds and evolves. That's how your written piece should evolve. Not that it's just hanging. In this community, there's a problem. You put full stop. And then you jump to access to healthcare, access to education, limited availability of funding, full stop. It does not make any meaning, it doesn't make any connection. So it's a story that unfolds, and then you need to take your reader through that journey. It's a skill that you are developing as you are going through this program. Like we said last, some of you, you may need to go and enroll for a writing class, or you need to go and watch some YouTube videos on writing. For some of you who maybe your career has given you the opportunity to write over time, you will not have to use the technicality of project development within this sector to integrate with what you're currently doing. Proposal writing is a very technical process. So one thing that you need to remember is that all problems are not equal. And so just because you identified a problem in the community does not guarantee you funding. You need to ensure that you're focusing on the right problems. You need to ensure that you're focused on problems that really matter, problems that are of concern, problems that maybe people have done a lot about it. The problem is like a problem of corruption in Nigeria that has decided not to shift. So what new thing are you bringing that can address the issue of corruption in Nigeria, for example? There's some problems that, oh, yeah, the proposal is good, the writing is good, the design is good, but the issue is that this problem is not marketable. The funder is not seeing it, that this is really very critical, that we need to put money into it. They are saying that the organization can just do it, even without all these things they're asking money for. Once they just go talk to the, they can figure it out without this grant. And then they just pass over it. Not because you have not written a very good proposal, because the project is not marketable. The problem is not, it's something that, oh, there are lots of alternatives outside what you're saying you want to do. Many things can be done. Anybody can do many things about it. And that's why I picked on you, Joshua, to say school fees, giving books and uniforms is not sufficient. So it's good that it's something you are doing, but if you want to solve the problem of education, you have to go beyond that. You have to look at, okay, what are the policy gaps within the sector? What can we do? Who are the key stakeholders here? What can we do in partnership with them? What can we create? There's a way you can work with communities, and communities will take up the responsibility of ensuring that children do not drop out of school. And then they have education vanguards. In a way, they catch any child hawking on the streets, the family will have to come and answer for that. So I cannot give you the ideas, because the ideas are within the problem analysis. So you go back and look at those factors you brought up. That's why you see in the training video, when I was trying to connect the problem analysis and objective tree, you just need to mirror it and reframe those factors into the objectives, and then see, oh, how can we deliver this? How can we make this happen? Follow the systematic process. Some of you didn't follow it, and I could see it from what you have written, that you have not followed that design thinking process. Ensure that you have picked problems that are really problems that are really critical, problems that demand attention of multiple stakeholders, problems that are marketable and sellable. When you pick problems that that cannot be challenged, even if your proposal is not too strong, the funder will even write you and say, okay, let's have a meeting. Do this in addition. That's what happened with one of the proposals that we wrote some years ago. Because the analysis showed that if stakeholders don't do anything now, this region might just go out of extinction. It's a genocide if we don't work, if we don't do an early warning system here, do a multi-level dialogue platform here for stakeholders to come together to address this conflict, lives will go. And even when there were some gaps, they called us and said, so here's what we think you guys can do in addition. That's because the problem was marketable. So for some of you, the problem that you have positioned your organization that you want to solve, there are lots of alternatives available. People are doing things around that line. It's as if you just want to replicate existing efforts. You're not bringing anything new to the table. You're not bringing anything fresh and innovative to the table. That's why your proposals are failing. And that's why it seems that you're not making a headway. Especially for most of you that are dancing around awareness raising awareness that is not leading to behavior change or does not have a clear path to changing behavior and systems within the society. So it's a call to action for me, telling you guys that you need to go back to that document and look at it, reflect. That's why you have 5 weeks. It's a learning process. Whatever you're doing is not cast in stone. But I want you to understand the thinking behind proposal writing, that any funder that you submit a document to, there are lots of questions going into their mind. And if as they're reading that document, the questions are not being answered, your document will be thrown out of the window. Okay. So I know we've had a very long week. So today will not be so hard or so drilling and draining again, because you have our feedback in your document. So if there are questions, let's just address those questions and then we can say good night and everybody can rest. This is, life coaching support sessions. All the work we want to do is happening in your document already. So we have Ruth. Go ahead, Ruth. If you want to ask a question, you can just use the hand raise button or you leave it in the chat area and I would address them. I don't want us to overflow the conversation tonight or spend 3 hours for something that we can do in an hour and everybody goes to rest and then goes back into their document to continue working. So Ruth, go ahead.
Okay, Coach. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I chatted earlier, I am quite confused about the proposed program schedule. I don't know how to.
The proposed what? What are you confused about?
The program schedule.
The schedule.
Schedule. Yes.
All right.
I don't know how to go about that. I was just lost. In fact, coupled with the fact that I was unable to access the video earlier on.
But you are able to access. I don't know why you and Thierry had that issue.
I don't know because my own phone.
When I sent the email to myself and I used my phone to access, it put password, everything, it worked. So I don't know. So it's what the schedule means is actually a work plan or a calendar. So what they're trying to find out is, when are you going to implement what? So that's why you see that section coming after you have talked about your objectives, your activities, and then how the project will work. So they want to know, remember in the cover page, you actually have project duration, You have project duration, which you must have specified the project is going to start. For example, you can say the project is going to start January 2024, is going to end December 2024. That's the duration of your project. So within this duration of the project, your first activity may be, you said you want to do an inception meeting, or you want to do a stakeholder engagement workshop, or you want to do an identification and a mapping of the women you want to work with and place them into clusters. When are you going to do it? How many days is that activity? So usually, especially for a funder that is saying you can submit or upload additional documents, you can have like a Gantt chart or like a work plan, which says, oh, the project is 12 months. So you put a column, these are the activities. Then you have month 1, month 2, month 3 to the end. So in the first month, you can then tag to say this activity we are doing in January, this activity we are doing in February. These 2 activities will take us from March to April. That's a way to present your schedule. So they want to know when things are happening, and they want to know if you have actually arranged it in a sequential in a sequential manner. Not that it's disorganized, that's something that you were supposed to do first. You are doing it as the last activity for your project. So that's one way to present it. Another way to present it, you can describe it and say, okay, month 1, which is January 2024, you can say we're doing this activity, and then you explain that this activity is going to run for 2 days or it's going to run for 3 days. So schedule is just calendar of activities, and then you explain it to make sense so that they know that, oh, you've actually really been intentional about the design of the project, you understand how it works, and you are being practical about the delivery of the project. I hope that helps, Ruth. So the schedule is your calendar of activities, calendar of events.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. So any more questions? Mitchell, good to see you. I looked at your document, I saw that the analysis is better now. The analysis is very good. And then I was now expecting to see the other components to come in. And I was visiting the document and I was not seeing the thing being updated. So thank you for letting us know that you were out of network last week. Okay, so the recording is already there. I think I pasted it in the group again. It's on the same YouTube playlist. So this one, by the time I convert it, I will also add it to that playlist. The same link, live sessions, you will see them there. So Mitchell, good job. I knew that the first week we put you on the spotlight, we were saying, oh, we're confused. I said that I was confused with what you had written. I didn't understand what problem you were focusing on, but it's very coherent now. It's clean. The analysis is clean now. It's straightforward. We can see what the challenges are. We've seen that you've broken down. It's cleaner now. So well done. You put a lot of work to ensure that that analysis was improved. So well done. So use that energy to work on the other part. Let's see the other parts of the document, and then we'll review. We'll just be looking at it and be guiding you as the days unfold. Remember, you have only 2 weeks left. I don't want to delay us tonight and show. I've done all the preaching and the sermon and the hallelujah that I wanted to do, and then I would just want us to rest and then go back into our documents to do the work, because you already have the training in your toolkit. And then we are in the document with you. All right. So Ruth, is this another hand, or it is the one that was up before? Dr. Chinonso.
Good evening, Coach.
Yeah, good evening.
I could notice your new look today.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you very much for that.
Yeah, actually, I tried to work on the comment section you dropped earlier today. Okay. Maybe you need to look at it maybe between now and today. Yes. So, but I want to ask, what is the difference between the program methods and design
and then the objectives and activities, right? Okay.
Yeah, they are looking like something similar to me. Yeah. And then I also saw another one, program schedule. So all these things are really, I really want you to kind of differentiate. Yes.
I'll explain right away without wasting much time. So the first time I saw that template, I was a bit confused that, okay, we are going to talk about the objectives and activities here. And on this other section, we're still going to talk about how the project will work, the program methods, and then the design. So they may look the same. Excuse me.
Sorry.
1 minute.
Sorry.
They may seem the same, but there's just a slight difference. So for the first part, they want to know the activity, the objectives. So you'd have gone straight to the point to say, these are the objectives, maximum 2. I want us to stay within a maximum of 2 project objectives, because the more objectives you have, the more complicated your project will be, and you may go out of course. So maximum 2 objectives. So you are there talking about the objectives, and then you're talking about the activities that will help you deliver those objectives. So in the program methods and design, you are going further to explain how those activities will contribute to your objectives or the project goal. So the first part, you said this is objective 1. The objective of the project is to increase access to maybe economic enhancement opportunities for women and girls in this community. And then to help us achieve these objectives, we're going to carry out training, or we're going to identify, okay, let me just follow the line of thought. We're going to ensure that women have training, and the training is going to focus on ABC. The training is going to focus on marketing, for instance. The training is going to focus on branding. The training is going to focus on food processing. This and that. You come and talk about another activity, maybe access to markets, and you're just explaining what the activities are. In the program methods and design, you are going further to explain what the benefits of this activity. So you're saying that you want to provide access. You want to ensure women have access to economic enhancement opportunities. And one of the activities you're doing is training on this and that. So you're going further to say that if women, or when these women have this training and then they gain the knowledge and build their capacity in these areas, they will be able to do A, B, C, D. For example, I would talk about if this program was a project I was putting a proposal for. I'd explained the objectives that I want to increase the fundraising capabilities of nonprofit leaders so that they can attain financial sustainability for their nonprofits and advance innovative solutions on the African continent. And the activities are going to do an onboarding workshop. The onboarding workshop is to mobilize nonprofit leaders across the African continent to have conversations around grant proposal writing, to understand the challenges they have. And then we're going to do a 5 weeks proposal writing boot camp where the participants will have access to coaches, we have access to training workshops, on-demand training workshops, would have the opportunity to develop proposals and then get reviews and offboarding. I've just explained the objectives and the activities. Then how the program will work is where I go further to begin to explain the mechanism behind the project design. So for example, I'm saying that the 5 weeks boot camp will create an environment that holds nonprofit leaders who are participants within the project accountable. And then the program is designed to ensure that participants, as they learn, as they access the training, they are implementing the learning using the templates that have been provided in the toolkit created for the project. Now, the toolkit contains this resource, that resource, that resource, that resource, which provides templates for participants to design a unique proposal for their own projects, which will be reviewed by coaches. And there may be an activity is coaches review. I was saying that the review component of the project is developed in order to ensure that participants have a tailored and a personal learning experience. We're going further from just helping participants gain knowledge to also ensure that as they grow within the boot camp, the coaches and the mentors are able to highlight capacity gaps and identify areas of improvement, which all culminates together to ensure that participants come up with project proposals that are viable, that are compelling, which they are going to be supported to turn into funders and stand a better chance of getting their organizations funded. So that's the difference between just talking about your activities and the objectives, and then the design and how it will work, how it will work is, so you have talked about the objective is to cook jollof rice, and to cook jollof rice, we're going to have rice, we're going to have tomato, we're going to have pepper, we're going to have this, which all of these things will now come into a pot to make jollof rice. And then how the project will work is where you now begin to explain how many cups of jollof rice, how many cups of rice, how you have chosen maybe cap rice instead of the local rice from Abakaliki, and then you're explaining that this is the quantity of rice because it's going to feed 100 people. That's why we have chosen this quantity of rice, and then this texture of tomato, you grind it to this particular paste. So you are explaining the cooking process there. You are not just saying this is what we want to do, these are the things that will help us do it, but now you're now explaining the mechanism, the mechanics behind what you're cooking. And then the schedule, like I explained to Ruth, is the calendar, execution calendar. When are you doing what? This particular activity is going to hold in January. This is an activity that will run for 5 days. And this 5 days training, on each of the days, how many hours is training? So whatever you are writing in any section, when you're going to your proposal writing, it depends on the opportunity that the funder has given to you. As the funder told you to write 500 words, or they have told you to write 100 words, or maybe 100 characters. So for some of you that I saw that your problem analysis was becoming very, very long, like 1,000 words, I told you, remember, maybe when you are going to submit, you'll be asked 500 words. For some of you that wrote 200, I told you to write more. If you write so much, I'll tell you, okay, you're now summarized, because I want to see that, ensure that you have that stretch. If the funder says 800 words, you can write it. If they say 500 words, you can write. If they say 100 words, you can summarize it. Okay, and there's a question, do we write the monitoring and evaluation in prose or we tabulate it? Now, you can do it anyway. You know, when I showed you in the training, it was presented in a table, because you are creating a master proposal from this program. When you start your applications, you have to follow the guidelines of the unique funders that you're applying to. For some of them, they'll give you a table. For some of them, like you said, you need to write a prose. Okay, so in that document, what have they asked you to do? They have asked you to describe your monitoring and evaluation, right? And so you're going to be descriptive in what you're presenting. And so you can now begin to arrange it in a logical manner. So say objective 1, and then you itemize the indicators to it. And then for each indicator, you can say this indicator, this kind of data will be collected on a weekly basis or on a quarterly basis. And then you explain it. For me, the best way is to have that table. But sometimes they just want you to explain what you want to do. Like if you look at the sample funded proposal in your toolkit, it wasn't presented in a table. We actually explained how we're going to make the project effective. So we discussed the indicators and how we're going to use those indicators to ensure the project was effective. So if you're confused, you may want to take a look at the sample funded proposal and just see how things went for that particular grant. So every funder is different. Some they'll give you Excel sheets. They'll give you an Excel sheet, and then you have to now populate for each objective. You now talk about populate your indicators. Then you are going to talk about what kind of data are you going to collect? Is it qualitative data or quantitative? What's the frequency? Are you collecting it every day? Are you collecting it every week or quarterly? Some will even tell you, how are you going to analyze this data? Who will collect this data? Who is responsible for this analysis? Which stakeholder is this information relevant for? So however the funder is twisting the question, the idea is for you to have understanding of how to tailor your response. That's what we're trying to build throughout this program, that however they ask the question, however they present it, you have that understanding, you have the capacity to present your thoughts in a compelling manner. Okay, so are there any more questions? I want us to close early today so we can go and sleep and be refreshed and continue writing your proposal. because you have only 2 weeks left. So I was gunning for a shorter meeting today. A lot have been put in your documents. You know, for some of you that are way behind or feel a bit confused, you can send me a personal WhatsApp message. If you feel lost, if by any chance you feel lost, you feel confused, you feel that you are no longer in the ship, you are in another boat and you are going to where you don't know, send me a WhatsApp message, or you don't want to put it in the group so that somebody will be looking you one kind as if you don't know what you are doing. Send me a personal WhatsApp message and just explain what is it you are going through, what is it you're confused with, and I will respond to it. I may just record a voice note and explain to you and meet you at that point of your need or at that point of your confusion. So if you're confused, talk to me personally, send me a personal WhatsApp message, explain all that is, all the headache, and we'll work with you to solve that. So any more questions before we tell ourselves good night and you go back to work or you go and sleep? More questions? Has been your experience? This is week 3. I purposely did not want to put another poll. You know, this is a smaller class, so I'm not going to be talking about ChatGPT today. So you should go to do the other sections, because if I just changed my mind that if I talk about ChatGPT, some of you may just go into the AI tool and go and generate the entire proposal, which I don't want. So I'm moving the conversation around using artificial intelligence in developing your proposal to the end. When you have done it yourself, you have stretched your mind, then I'll show you how to use ChatGPT to simplify your proposal writing process. So you will use it, it will become your personal writing assistant. So I'm not doing it today, because if I show you today, people will just go back, go and write the full proposal and submit. So I'm going to leave ChatGPT till the final week. Do the work, struggle with it, make your mistakes. Let's test your real capability before you start using artificial intelligence to boost your outputs. So any more questions? ChatGPT is when we are closing. That's when I'll show you the shortcuts to all of this. You know, any more questions? What's going on? Has it been for you? So let's see in the comments. Let's see in the personal message. What has been your experience so far? Come on, let's hear your thoughts, everyone. We're already closing. When I said I was going to be short today and just give us the support we needed. So what's going on in your heads? What's going on in your minds? Let's just leave it in the chat area and we can then close with that and ensure that everybody is pumped. So for your week 4, let me pull up the schedule. Go ahead. Let's hear your thoughts, please. Week 4, just a reminder, I'm going to assume that because last week we gave you for week 3, do monitoring, evaluation, and sustainability. A lot of you have not completed that in its entirety. So ensure you go back and work on that. And then the goal for week 4 is actually for you to watch the final training video, which is on budgeting. That's the last video within the stream. So if you notice, you now have 5 videos instead of 4. That was because of the confusion that came out from week 2 for the project design, where people were like, it's hard connecting with that logical framework and all of that. I thought about recording another training, but I changed my mind because I don't want to just give you guys simple things. And when you now meet the shark by the time you're writing proposals, you will not come and say that I did not teach you well. So I'm going to leave those trainings there. The hard one, which is the first video before, logical framework, And then the simpler version, which I had to upload again last week from the 2 days training, which actually explained, those concepts. It was a beginner's class. So when I explained the concept, that you see what they mean, how to frame, and then you saw the sample project, how to look at it. So I'll just leave it like that. I wouldn't want to go into recording another video that is so simple and will not really help you when you meet a proposal that is really technical. Okay, so for some of you, you may need to do rewind, watch some of those videos again, work on that part of the proposal. Ensure that you don't do the work on a week-to-week basis. For some of you that have not done the work for week 3, please catch up. Some of you traveled, maybe you went to somewhere that the internet was not strong, you struggled with internet, catch up now that you have access to internet. Week 4 is the final video. The final video is on budgeting, and it's the shortest video because I said budgeting is a shopping list. So look at it. In your toolkit, you have an Excel sheet. And so you're going to do your budget with the Excel sheet. Even if you look at your proposal at the bottom, you will see where they said the budget should be done in another document. So do your budget using the Excel sheet. You can tweak it to fit into what kind of project, whatever project you're working on. And then after you've gone through your budget video, the training video on budgeting and the template, start cleaning up the remaining components of the application. So when you've done the budget, there's a section on key personnel. Complete that part, write the part about your program partners and your key personnel. So from program partners, let me just explain that. You have when you created your project concept, you will see that, oh, for some of these activities to happen, I saw that some of you actually explained it in the description when you were writing about your project. Some of you explained that you have to meet with A, B, C. You have to mobilize these people, and have a meeting with them. Those are your key stakeholders. For some, you may need to collaborate with another NGO entirely, depending on whatever you're working on. There's a section that you now have to explain your program partners. So for that sample funded proposal, within the toolkit that you need to be looking at as a Bible to guide you, there's a similar section where they asked us who we're going to be working with, and we explained that we're going to partner with the community of persons living with disabilities, we're going to partner with the Nigerian Police Force, we're going to partner with Nigeria Council of Women's Societies and all of that. So we put out key stakeholders that we're going to work with, exactly what contributions they would bring to the project, how relevant they were, and what roles, and how they are also, whatever they're doing links back to the project objective. So that section, don't just go and put lists of organizations and list of people. It's also about, like what Edward said, write it as a prose. It's also a descriptive and a narrative format. If you have any confusion, just go to that sample funded proposal, look at the section and see how it was written to help you. So this schedule, because we have lost it because there's so many messages in the classroom, I'll put it again in the classroom for you to see on a week-to-week basis what sections of your proposal you need to be working on. So well done, everybody. You all are working hard. Well done to our coaches. Sometimes I have to send a message. Please, I have to tell Renee, I know you are in transit, but just help me take a look at some of the proposals, because I want a situation whereby we have different perspective and ideologies coming in to look at your document and say here, and then it's a richer experience for everybody. So Madaraka, your hands are up. We'll take you, and then we'll allow everybody to go and rest. It's been a wonderful week, so everybody should go and rest. Only the comments on your proposal, when you open the document and see all the painting, is rich for someone to have headache. So you need to relax. Go ahead, Sam. Your hands were up, so go ahead and share.
Well, are you referring to me?
You use the hand raise button.
Yeah. Well, I'm just taking you back to what you had invited Rene to read on my proposal.
Yeah.
And then I don't know whether I had to copy that particular aspect, the PS part of it and actually give it to Rene, because I addressed this issue with Rene.
So when I put the at Rene, I just want him to also read it and add his thoughts. So you don't need to copy to send to him. So maybe when he's doing his next review, he would actually see that and then he will respond to it. Please, everybody, don't upload the documents multiple times. It's confusing us.
Copied. Thank you.
Don't upload. So you've uploaded once, you invited us once. What I have done is I have earmarked all the submissions and I'll just go to my favorites and then I'll start from the bottom again and start opening all of them, review. I go to the next. So sometimes I'll now see 1, 3, 4 things I've earmarked from the same person in the same document. You don't need to upload it again. Work on Drive so that as you are doing your corrections, is uploading, you know, to the Drive. For some of you that you wrote something that was very long, the person knows himself. It was so long, and I said, we are now shorting it. I know in your mind, you'll be like, but you said we should write sufficiently. And yes, I said now you should summarize it to 500 words. So because it's a beautiful essay, you may not want to lose it. You can download it and keep. Don't download and upload to me again. You can download it and keep because you may want to go back to that analysis for future reference and pick some things. Is fine. And I want you to remember that I mentioned in your document that don't let it look like an academic analysis, okay? Balance the discussion and don't focus so much on publications by individuals. Use publications by development institutions, development organizations. For some of you that are working around policy, go and Google, you know, there are documents, there are policy briefs you can refer to, there are research things. Look for what is relevant to your program. It may not be in that specific community. It may be something that an organization has done, a research for your state or for your geopolitical zone or for your region, wherever you are, whether you're in Kenya, you're in Botswana, you're in Cameroon, you're in the UK, wherever you are. So from all of the things I've shared today, go back and reflect on the work that you're doing. So one thing I want to do going forward, even with other cohorts, I don't want to burden us during this live session because we already have plenty of videos we need to watch. For some people that missed this one, they will want to watch the recording, still want to watch the masterclass, and maybe for that week, you now have 4 hours of training video to watch, and then you have work to do, you have a business to run. So sometimes it's just overwhelming and you want to give up. Don't give up, oh, please. Stay on. We still have 2 weeks to battle this thing out and get a quality written piece that we can call a proposal for you all. So well done, everybody. Thank you for showing up tonight again. We're going to be showing up again next week, Saturday. All right. So well done. I'm going to clean up this recording. So you should be up to watch on the playlist, maybe by tomorrow or latest by Monday. You're going to have the record.